Good morning, guys. My name is Trevor Hlungwani, one of your lecturers for DPR1507, which is understanding the media. And like I said in the previous class, I work with Dr. Enel Sligan on the module. Obviously, we from time to time we give each other opportunities to present the module content to students. Obviously, with an understanding that we offer a variety of knowledge on the same subject. So we thought that doing it together from time to time would actually enable us to give you how we understand the module differently. But obviously, I know most of us would have written assignment 1, which was very understanding, and we thought that because the beginner and you guys are most of you are doing first year, would have assisted you to get to understand how then the module play out, how then media studies play out. So most of the content was just around the introduction to media studies, but also given the fact that you have written the assignment, this class will be solely focused on giving you feedback on what then we expected from you. Obviously, I've said it before that this is social sciences, which means that there's no right or wrong answer. There is an incorrect answer, but every answer could be right or wrong based on how you substantiate it. Obviously, have to explain how then you would have arrived to a certain conclusion about what certain terminologies mean, what certain concepts mean in as far as media studies is concerned. So I'll just briefly take you through the assessments, and obviously I'm hoping that they will assist you to fix the mistakes that would have been committed in the previous assignment, because this will form part of your exam before the end of the semester. So assignment 1 and 2 will be combined into the main exam for the semester. Obviously, we'll also give you a class to prepare you for that, but we thought that we should at least as in now, so that when you start preparing for the exams, also you know what to prepare, you know what to write, you know what to fix. So I say in this assignment, students were expected to apply their minds when responding to questions. It's not enough to just copy the response from reading resources or material, but it's an expectation that students are able to apply their understanding of the concepts when they answer questions. Students will be assessed based on that and in the way in which they detail their answers in context. So in context means that would assess you based on how then you contextualize your responses. What does this mean in as far as your orientation is concerned? Because as students, we're exposed to certain terms, we're exposed to certain terminologies, and how we understand them differ so much. They could all be correct in how then we detail them, but also wanted to understand from you how then do you grasp the terminologies, how do you understand the module content, and also how then would you be able to put that into context and give relevant relevant examples, because we don't just want you to consume the content, we don't just want you to take in the content and give it back to us as it is. We want you to tell us how you understand the content, we want you to tell us how then you think they should be applied in normal normal work circumstances, because the whole point of this is to prepare you for the job market, is to prepare you for the professional space as media scholars. And then one of the activities would have expected you to explain in your own words what media are. So we gave you a video for you to be able to respond based on that. And we say, as you may have seen from the video, media are devices that facilitate communication with a particular audience, including television, radio, newspapers, mobile devices, and the internet. The scope has been so widened in the last few years. You'd have only video, TV, and radio as your only, well, you'd call them your only main source of media. Newspapers too, but with the introduction of mobile devices and the internet, that would have expanded the scope around that, and we believe that you would have been able to respond in such a manner. You should be able to respond in a way that contextualizes how then you understand the terminology, and we say list the media you see in the video in your own words. Describe how people use the media. So one of them would have been television, one would have been smartphone. So they have wanted you to explain to us the two, and also how people use the source of media. And I want to understand that because most of us are glued to our phones almost 24/7, this would have been one of the one that would have chosen to explain on. And the issues around television. Television is also a main source of media usage or consumption by most of us as consumers. And then also says that you need to detail the uses and gratification theory, and we've asked that you go to the discussion forum for this, and then in not more than 2 paragraphs explain the theory. So the uses and gratification theory based on the video is an approach to understand why and how people actively seek out specific media to satisfy specific needs. That's according to Katz 1959. And you also had to describe the media that you use daily and to state what gratification you derive from this media. You are also required to provide an extensive discussion on why the internet is not considered a mass medium in Africa. So yeah, we expected you to detail that, but also like we said, you should be able to detail this based on then how you experience the concepts, which means that if then you say you use a TV, how then do you use this? How do you use it to as a users and gratification theory? Yeah. And then one of the issues we said we are also required to provide an extensive discussion on why the internet is not considered a mass medium in Africa. So one of the issues in Africa around the internet is the issue to access, the fact that most of us have no access to the internet on a fully day-to-day basis. Most would have to pay for such to be able to then use it. Well, some that are much privileged in urban areas would have their Wi-Fi's in their homes, which means that then they could say the internet is a mass medium in Africa. And I'm saying this because that discussion is much skewed, because how then those that are in urban areas experience internet is different. It's different vice versa. Those that are in villages would experience it based on the socio-economic issues. There are variables in this one, because if you're unemployed, then you're stuck somewhere in the village in Lusikisiki, in Gyan, in Malamlele, in Domela, in Buluin village, or Mkomi. You're not able to pay for a speed internet connection or bandwidth. But those that are in urban areas could argue differently. So like I said, in the context of this assignment, the assessment is based on then how then do you detail such a response, because we want to understand that we are spread across different places, and our understanding of all these issues are different based and then on how then we are placed geographically. The next one, activity 2, we says use the internet and sources such as books on the recommended list to provide a detailed discussion on each of the 7 elements criteria for newsworthiness. So those would have been timeless, proximity, rarity, prominence, impact, novelty, and human interest. So on the first one, timeliness, we say the more recently something happened, the more relevant it is. So if a story just happened now, it makes it newsworthy because somehow it could impact on our lives, it could impact on our well-being. If you're driving from Joburg on the N1 and then you hear that between Midrand and Pretoria there's an accident and you're coming to Pretoria for a class, it means that such a report would obviously impact on your journey to class. So it speaks about issues about timeliness just happened, as in like now. So there's an impact on your well-being and on your plans. And proximity, so we say being physically near to a story makes it more interesting. So if something happens in your village, you're likely to have an interest to understand then what happened, because somehow it affects either your friend or your family member or your relative. So you actually find interest in reading such a story. It makes it newsworthy to you. And we say rarity, which speaks about a very unusual event. Example, when a man bites a dog. So in journalism, we always say that when a dog bites a man, that's not a story. But when a man bites a dog, it's a story because it's something that's rare to happen. So the fact that it's a unique occurrence, it makes it more interesting and a good story to follow. And we say prominence. Minor things become interesting to readers when they happen to popular, prominent people or celebrities. So, and I'll give an example of this one. If you can hear that, for instance, R. Kelly was arrested most recent in the past year, and it became a source of much interest in a lot of people, and that's because many people see R. Kelly as their idol. They see him as someone that they look up to. Compared to just if you have a man on the street or street kid arrested for anything, you'd actually have different interest on this too. So because R. Kelly is most known, you're likely to follow the story. So it makes the story newsworthy. And then impact. This is how the story affects the reader's life. Most recently in Turkey and Syria, there was two earthquakes, and there was some subsequent to that happened and killed a lot of people. Over 30,000, over 40 actually died from that. So because of the impact of the story in human life, people would want to understand, would want to follow up with the story. So it speaks about the impact of such a story in human life. And we say novelty basically means the first and the last time an event takes place. So I will tell you this about the 9/11 bombing in the US. It becomes a big story because you hardly have such things happening. I mean, you hardly have a plane going straight into a building where multitudes or thousands of people are based and working at. So such an issue would become so much newsworthy because it hardly happens. COVID-19 came, we called it a novel virus because it was the first time we'd have such a deadly virus that claimed so much lives in the country and elsewhere in the world. And then we say human interest, and we say writers can virtually explore any topic as long as you make it interesting to other human beings. They need to bring emotions out of the readers. This happens mostly in light reading. You know, some magazines would have they would have something that speaks about a certain celebrity, sort of a writing, a profile article on them. Much as these things are light, but they're so interesting in some people because they give you a different picture of the person. They give you a different picture of the human being. And the next one we say explain what breaking news means and give a suitable example of a breaking news story. Explain what soft news is and give relevant examples. So with this one, I won't go much into details because, like I said, I want you guys to apply your understanding of the terms and give your relevant examples. Based on then how then you give that to me, I won't see a reason not to give you marks because I want to understand, like I said, your orientation, your understanding of the terms are different. So you'll more especially respond to them differently based on that. And we said list the top 4 social media sites, how many people access these sites. You would have given me the stats. I'll see when then I start working on the answers. Already I've been through a couple of scripts. I've went through some. You guys are doing very well on that, and I applaud you for that. The next one, activity 5 says write down the social media sites that you use. You have to keep track of your activities on the sites. How many times you log onto each site per week? How long do you stay on each site per week? And we'll also ask you what activities do you engage in on the site. So I've seen responses on this, very interesting responses, obviously around the usage of that. And I want to understand that most of you guys use the sites for your academic life. So it's an interesting to understand that you would use these sites for information. And then the next sites, obviously, it's just about how then you would get in contact with us. Like I said, my name is Trevor and my telephone number is 012 429 6717. My email is hlungt1 at unisa.ac.za. And like I said, I work with Dr. Slikani. His email is seleknl at unisa.ac.za. And Ms. Dolamo, it's part of us. She's part of the team in the DPR section. The email address is dolampr at unisa.ac.za. And like I asked you before, guys, that let's not abuse these channels for communication, because they are meant for us for good usage. The fact that you can just pick up your phone and call me or Dr. Sligan or Ms. Dolama doesn't mean that you should do that. Send us an email, and we work on different modules, so it's not only DPR1507. So sometimes when we're unable to respond as soon as possible, it means that we'll be engaged in other work. Even outside other modules, we do other stuff, issues around supervision of honor students. So you should be patient with us and just believe that we'll get back to you when then there are issues. Yeah. Thank you, guys. That's the end of the class. Like I said, it was just to give you feedback on the assignment 1, and I hope that this would assist you to prepare better for the exams. Start preparing as in now when we're on assignment 2, because both will be combined, and part of that will be sampled to form part of the exam. So good luck, guys. All the best. Thanks.